is the Herd Line News.
Start with the Tampa Bay Bucs and the Dallas Cowboys. Rough season for Tampa Bay. Ups and downs. Nearly got swept by Carolina, but came back and beat them the second time. Obviously, Monday's wildcard matchup with the Cowboys is massive. Not only did Tom Brady and the Bucs offense seem to click in the final game when they qualified for the playoffs against Carolina, but the team's health continues to improve. Here's what Brady said.
We have 7 days to prepare. We've got kind of the whole week. I don't know. I'm sure everyone's a little bit day-to-day right now. I'm hoping we're pretty healthy. I mean, I believe we're going to be as healthy as we've been all year, which is kind of exciting, to get some guys back that haven't been in there and then, see if we can go play our best football. Because I even said after the game, it sucks being 8-9. You're playing against teams that have way better records, 12-5, whatever it is. But you know what? The only thing that matters is who wins that day.
Yeah, Tampa is not good enough to win multiple games. Are they good enough at home to win a game against Dallas? That's the only. They're not going to win. They're not going to San Francisco. They're just not talented enough. And by the way, after they played Dallas, they're healthy now. They may not be healthy after Dallas. They get 3 guys hurt a week. I like Dallas a lot.
This is the toughest game to really handicap because you see how it comes off the 3, right? It used to be Dallas was favored by 3, now 2.5. That means there's some big money on Tampa.
Yeah.
And I just wonder, this defense, Colin, I looked at pressure rates. Todd Bowles historically blitzes among the most in the league.
Yes.
He loves to do it. Well, he didn't blitz a lot this year. He fell down to 10th. But they're getting no pressure at all. So they basically need to generate pressure with blitzes, and it's still not happening. I think Dak could have a real big bounce back this week.
I think so.
Against a secondary that's a little overrated. I think people are just betting the Tom Brady narrative, right? Like, hey, Tom Brady, he's never lost to Dallas. And it's fun to gin up this McCarthy in trouble stuff.
I think my favorite play of the weekend is Dallas.
Ooh, that's risky.
Well, listen, I don't like big favorites. I do think Buffalo's going to clobber Miami. That's my second favorite.
We'll talk about that here in a minute.
But Seattle's getting a ton of points. Do I think Seattle uglies it up and keeps it close and loses? Yeah, I don't. A lot of these games, Jacksonville Chargers comes down to, is Mike Williams ready to play? If he starts, I'll take the Chargers. If not, I'll take the Jags. There's a lot of things here hanging. I feel like I know what the game is going to look like. Dallas and Tampa. I have a sense of what it's going to look like. Dallas is going to come in super focused after being humiliated. They're going to play really hard and really well, and at some point, this is a Tampa offense that is limited.
Yeah.
It just doesn't have a lot of vertical components here. That Evans-Carolina game's a total outlier.
So there's 2 games this weekend. You just highlighted them. Chargers, Jags. So the Chargers got destroyed by Jacksonville at home. Now they go to Jacksonville. Dallas got destroyed 19-3, kind of embarrassed by Tampa. Now they go to Tampa.
I like the team that got beaten both.
I'm kind of with you on that.
Yeah.
Next story, we are talking about the Giants. Giants-Vikings, listen, they're in the playoffs. Brian Daboll, first-time head coach, gets into the playoffs, and their first appearance since 2016 when they lost to the Packers in the wild-card round. That was, of course, the Odell Beckham boat trip game the Giants got. I think it was 38-10 or something. Despite the lack of playoff experience on the roster, Brian Daboll does not seem worried.
I've been in so many different situations. The first year that I was part of a Super Bowl, the quarterback didn't have any playoff experience there at New England. Some of the guys did, some didn't. We had some experience at Buffalo. We, lost. I think it's really what you make out of it, Jordan, is the experience probably is overrated, to be honest with you. It's how you prepare, how you practice, and ultimately how you play the game and coach the game on whenever day it is.
Well, think last year. Joe Burrow, no experience, won 2 road games. Matt Stafford, never won a playoff game. I mean, we had 2 teams last year, 2 stories with quarterbacks, coaches, make long, like McVay had made a playoff run before, but Zach Taylor, we didn't know 2 years ago if he was the right coach. So Cincinnati's a great example of no experience. Coach, staff, players, anybody, and they were better on the road than at home.
Well, I think they were at home against the Raiders in the first round, right?
So then they back-to-back road wins.
Correct. So I'll give you 3 other quarterbacks. I keep running notes throughout the week. 3 other quarterbacks who made first-time starts last year in the playoffs. Jalen Hurts.
Okay.
Lost by,
but
I think, 30.
He was a kid.
Kyler Murray. Arizona lost by about 30 to the Rams.
Not a great team, a kid.
Mac Jones.
Okay, a kid.
Kid. Lost by about 30.
Okay.
What is Daniel Jones? Is he a kid?
Well, Daniel's been in this league now 4 years.
You're making a lot. By the way, New York Giants fans are upset that we talk Jets so much. Now we're going to get a lot of Giants this week
Okay, I'll tell you
because they're in the playoffs.
This is one of my favorite upset picks of the year, the Giants. But now everybody loves the Giants.
That's the problem.
And now I don't like
them
as
Now are you
much.
flipping? Are you flipping in
well,
Minnesota?
I'm not flipping. I think it's a perfect matchup. I think what they do well, because the Giants' 2 young tackles, Thomas and Evan Neal, are pretty darn good. So Daniel's going to have some time to operate. He'll need it. So the Vikings aren't going to have a great pass rush, nor can they stop the run. I think the ugly Giants offense can ball control this thing with Saquon and Daniel moving. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game.
Yeah. I just get to these, high-leverage third downs. 3rd and 7, Daniel Jones. Who are you looking for? Richie James? Who's the tight end, the guy who broke his face and now he's back? I just don't know if anybody outside of Saquon and Daniel Jones can do anything.
Well, that's been the story all year, and they're in the playoffs.
Yeah. All right. Final story. Another playoff game. Tua Tagovailoa missed the last 2 games due to a concussion.
His accuracy, he gives you 9 and 10. He's bad 1 through 6. And most of quarterback play is the mundane and the repetition and the footwork and the accuracy and the layups. That's 75 to 80% of this stuff. You only have to be spectacular Josh Allen about 3 times a game. The other stuff is choreographed, built, and practiced, and repetition. Get the layups right. And so the Chicago Bears now have the number 1 pick, and they have Justin Fields. And it's making the rounds on the interweb, would they draft another quarterback? I would not. Because I think Justin Fields, much like Bryce Young, is not good enough to overcome chaos, but if you surround him with the right pieces and protection, he could grow into a good player. Justin Fields is also bigger and stronger. I like that. I like my quarterbacks, top 10, top 15 picks, big, strong guys. So the GM of the Bears, Ryan Poles, we don't know yet. We really don't know yet. Says, I don't think I'm drafting a quarterback.
We're going to do the same as we've always done. We're going to evaluate the draft class. And I would say this, I'd have to be absolutely blown away to make that type of decision. I'm excited for the direction he's going. And as I mentioned before, he knows where he has to improve. I think you mentioned that the other day. So we're excited about his development and where he goes next.
Here's where I am with Justin Fields. 60-40, I think it's going to work. But Trey Lance, Zach Wilson, I don't think they're gifted enough to overcome nonsense. Mac Jones, the minute he doesn't have the right coach, regresses badly. He's not gifted enough to overcome a bad coordinator. My concern with Justin Fields, and I see this more and more, maybe it's because of social media. Everybody's got a highlight. Everybody's Sports Center. Everybody can give you highlights. We're falling in love with the spectacular and the highlights. That is a small part of quarterback play. You get about 2 of those a game. We did this with Cam Newton for years. His footwork never got better. His mechanics regressed. But like twice a game, Cam Newton would do something you couldn't take your eyes off of. Folks, a lot of movie trailers are amazing. They're 60 seconds. Very rarely is a movie amazing. That's 2 hours and 10 minutes. I've seen it with Zach Wilson. I've seen people go to the combine and make throws. This is what they're struggling with Trey Lance in San Francisco. Accuracy. It's what they're really struggling with. It's what they struggle with Zach Wilson. They know he's got a good arm. They know he can move. But if you watch Zach Wilson play, he'll have a guy 7 yards out in the flat and short hop him. He'll dirt it. Like, you can't do that. You got to get the layups right. You can take Daniel Jones. Almost never spectacular. He's in the playoffs. Why? Completion percentage ticked up. Turnovers, career low. He just doesn't make the mistakes anymore. He's no more spectacular now. They're using his legs a little more. But with an average O-line and bad receivers, he's in the playoffs. We don't look at Daniel Jones highlights. We don't go on Sunday and go, I see Daniel Jones. It's not what he does. His completion percentage, highest of his career. His turnovers, lowest of his career. So I think Justin Fields is going to work. But I don't know if it's social media. I don't know why this is. We used to all wait for Sports Center. When I was a kid growing up, Howard Cosell in the 70s gave you highlights of the games at halftime of Monday Night Football. And then ESPN created Sports Center. So you got highlights at Sunday night. And now we have our phones. We all have Sports Center. It makes Sports Center less relevant. You don't have to wait until Monday to do games. And so we all have our own little Sports Centers, and we sit there watching highlights over and over and over, and we fall in love with highlights. That is like 5% of quarterback play. Is Justin Fields going to audible you out of trouble? You can keep blaming the O-line and the receivers, but is he going to audible you out of trouble? Is he going to